Nothing said on the Hivemind is a recommendation to buy or sell securities or tokens. This podcast is strictly for informational purposes only, and any views expressed by anyone on the show are solely our own opinions, not financial advice. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hivemind podcast. The goal of the podcast is to provide an inside look into what we like to call the DeFi Hivemind, bringing together some of our brightest minds from each of the divisions to share insights, alpha, and shitposts. Today with us, we have Ceteris Paribus from our institutional research arm. We have Jan Lieberman, managing partner of Delphi Ventures, and we have Jason, also known as 3x Liquidated, a regular on the podcast who is heads up macro at Delphi Research. I'm Jose, and I head up Delphi Labs. Split my time between Delphi Labs and Delphi Ventures. So should we start? We always start with markets. I think it's a good time to start with markets, given FOMC yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday. So FOMC was yesterday. It was kind of like what everyone expected, pretty much a nothing burger. Markets sort of dipped and then recovered afterwards. Does anyone have any hot takes on just like where we are in markets? And yeah.
Yeah, very briefly, right? To your point, kind of what the market was expecting and pricing in. Probably you could tell by the price action or like the lack of price action. It was just kind of just like algo seismograph type stuff in the immediate aftermath as they're trying to parse through the 3-word changes in the FOMC statement or whatever it is. The dot plot was like kind of interesting. Like it's very clear that like the committee isn't super aligned on what the path looks like, right? Like as of now, it seems like we probably have another 50 basis point rate cuts left throughout 2025. You had that one really big dissenting opinion, which is probably from the new Fed member Moran. So other than that, right, like I think it's kind of business as usual, right? Absent any, massive outlier data prints from say employment or inflation. Like it seems very clear we're just like starting to now like re-embark on this rate cut path, whether or not it's 50 basis points, 25 through end of year. It seems very clear that we're going to have several throughout the rest of this year and through 2026. So it seems like kind of in line with what Kevin over here at Delphi or myself have kind of, been expecting. It's clear that they're starting to kind of pivot away from their inflation fears, right? They've been kind of hammering home, tariff, inflation, blah, 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 when the reality is a lot of the risks are probably to the employment side of the mandate versus the inflation side. There's quite a bit of questions and debate after around like, are they too focused on returning back to that 2%? Is that even like a plausible or realistic expectation at this point? So it seems clear like everybody's now shifting away from the inflation mandate towards making sure employment doesn't blow up, which is probably a good thing. And I think the outlook from here through year end probably, hopefully I don't eat my words here, but looks pretty good, right? Like I think the macro regime is looking decent. I think liquidity environment starting to pick back up again. And I don't know, I'm personally pretty bullish. Bullish, not like the broad spectrum of crypto assets, bullish, the strong names that I've, been talking about, Bitcoin, Sol, probably ETH, right? The revenue generating names like Hype, Pump, Athena, right? All of these types of things I think are probably poised to continue doing well through year end. And that's kind of where I stand at the moment. There's a lot of technical things I think that you could point to, but probably not worth it to jump into those. Maybe I'll just follow up this podcast with like a Twitter thread on some of those charts as well.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think we kind of market expected some softness end of summer just seasonally, and it didn't really materialize. Every potential hurdle or just point of concern has been resolved in a pretty good way, right? Whether it's inflation numbers, employment numbers, GDP numbers, and then the Atlanta Fed come out projecting like another 3.4% quarter, which is just bullish to see. I'm sure a lot of that's on the back of just the AI capex spend and kind of everything that's happening on that front. I'm pretty long going into the end of the year. I think you've seen BTC drag a bit, right? Part of that's been just a concern around where the incremental bid is coming from, since the DATs are all seeing the MNAVs compressed. But at the same time, I think it's worth kind of zooming out and knowing that there's a bid that comes in outside of the DATs, right? So the concern is always, if you don't know the bidder, then there isn't one. And since if we know that the DATs aren't really deploying a bunch, then there's concern that there's no incremental buyer. But at the same time, when we saw that big whale that was selling tens of billions over the course of a couple of days, that got absorbed pretty quickly. So there is a bid that exists, and so I think gold's done really well in this environment, and there's potentially a world where you see a decent catch-up trade with BTC. We had this period where BTC was kind of going down and chopping, and alts were doing well, right? And that's great, but at the same time, that's kind of reminiscent of a top, right? Where BTC is kind of exhausted and everyone moves down the risk curve. And so it's good to see strength in BTC again, right? And so it seems like alts are kind of pausing a bit, or at least most are. Some are still doing really well, but pausing, letting BTC go, and ideally you can get a strong move here. I think if you look at CT sentiment, there's a decent amount of loud bearishness, which you certainly want to see, right? That means if everyone's a bull, then it's chances are everyone's going to be wrong together, right? Versus everyone being right. And so I think that's another constructive signal. Not to say that there aren't your whole host of random top signals, but I think just because they flash doesn't mean that the top is in immediately. It's something to be wary of. I think probably one of the bigger ones that I know Jason follows that's been a pretty high hit rate is when Alt OI has is grown beyond BTC OI, right? And it's just a signal kind of froth and where the money's going. And so that has historically led to some reversals, but I don't think you have enough data points on any of these signals to really just think that when they hit, that ignore everything else and that means a top. So there's plenty of reasons to kind of argue both ways, and so it's not the best risk return environment to be massively long, but I still think there's more upside to be had.
I don't know did you guys see the Dorman article / tweet thread? And he was like, this isn't really a bull market. If you look at the percent of tokens that are positive year to date, it's 25%. The ones that are down 40% or more is over 50% of tokens. And positive over the last 5 months is about 55%. So he kind of likened it to like the Mag7 doing well, and then the small cap index, which has basically been pretty bad for a long time. Like if you're a value investor in TradFi, you've got kind of crushed for like 2 decades now. This is something we've been talking about forever, and it's like, I think people are kind of, as much as people are aware that this has been happening, I think there's still a lot of hope that this isn't the new normal, right? And I think that it's pretty clearly the new normal at this point. There's just like too many tokens. We have too much market cap. It's like, even look at, again, it's like what's done well this year. It's the stuff we've already talked about, and then Sol's done good with the DATs. But even look at something like Pump. Like Pump has been crazy strong off the bottom. What Pump coins have done well? It's like none, right? It's kind of this weird market where it's like you want Pump coins to start doing well at some point, because to keep the game going, you kind of need this like influx of money, right? And so you kind of want people making money. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's still hard. Every time I think about like, oh, maybe I should sell. It's like every pump that I've sold for some like pump beta or like streamer coin or whatever, I've just lost like that money. And I regret just like not holding on to my pump. And it's the same with like, if you look at, I went on our sector dashboard today, and it's like, if you look at 90-day returns, right? Sol and ETH are both like 80-90%, something like that. The average DeFi token return in both ecosystems is like 40% or so, right? You have a few outliers, like you have ENA on the ETH side, you have which one on the one of them on the Sol side is outperforming, but I think Metaplex. But it's like you're not even getting the beta within the ecosystems too. So yeah, it's just like a really challenging market. And I don't know, do you guys think that, I think if we do get an alt season, it's going to be like a week or two. You know what I mean?
I think we kind of have this is alt season. It's just not all alts, and I don't think it's ever going to be just this like broad bid on everything. I think you'll have rotations, but it's just gonna like you're basically gonna have this world where the obvious ones run, and then once multiples there get stretched, some people cash out, some people will end up round tripping, and then others will cash out and move into riskier dog shit stuff, right? And so I don't see a world where you just get like broad, unless you have, just breakout on BTC to new all-time highs, then everything, all alts will just probably move up same percentage as BTC, which is not much, right? Because BTC is not really moving massively percentage terms.
I mean, last week we had a few days where 75 out of the top 100 were green. It's like the closest thing I feel like to an alt season that we had. I still think I do think we're kind of having. Yeah, I agree with Jan that we're kind of having an alt season. Like, depending again, if you're in the strong alts, which is kind of what you'd expect as the industry matures and what we've been talking about for ages. But even if you look at total 3, it's still up like 10% this year, depending when you start measuring. I think that's the best way to sort of measure whether we're in a bull market or not, like the kind of trend in total 3.
You'll
But
have those weeks where everything's up, but then you zoom out a little bit. It's like I look at TIA because it's still, I mean, I don't know about TIA anymore, but like I still own it. And it's like I feel like every time I look, it's like $1.80. Like I'll see it'll have a really good day, and it's up like
$1.80.
it's up like 15%, and then I look and it's like, oh yeah, it's still like, because it just grinds down like every other day, and then it'll have a couple days where it does really well, and that's the way a lot of these tokens are just trading. And so yeah, you'll get a few weeks where it's like, cool, you could have caught this move from down 87% to down 85%, but you don't want to hold it too long, because then the next time that move happens, it'll be like down 90 to down 88. I don't know, what do you think about this Samani dat? I think it is kind of interesting. Like, I have never bought one of these DATs, and I never will. They're obviously good for crypto, though. Like, if they keep getting inflows, I'm not totally sure why people still buy these things at like a 2x MNAV, but the new Solana DAT was trading at like 2x MNAV when they announced that equity. They'll sell up to like 4 bill or whatever. I don't know how much they've managed to sell yet, but I think the Sol one's interesting because the DATs are kind of starting. It's like Sailor, who just buy Bitcoin and that's it. Issue equity, issue debt, buy Bitcoin, put it in. The ETH one was mostly like that, but then they started doing some staking, right? So you started moving to a little bit more activities. And now the Sol one, it seems like it's turning, these things are like slowly turning into basically like yield farming funds, or kind of like hedge funds, which is kind of crazy because there's no way you could go public with this kind of company and just like IPO is like a hedge fund in the public markets, right? But that's kind of what these guys are doing now. And if you listen to Samani's talks on Forward Industries, we're really going full circle. Like, people joked about putting DATs on chain, but that's literally what he's going to do. And then instead of doing these debt issuances through TradFi, which they're obviously going to do some of those, they're also going to start borrowing against the tokenized forward shares in like Camino and like MarginFi and like stuff like that, right? They did an on-chain swap the other day. And so they're really, these are quite bullish to me because they are now directly juicing all the on-chain metrics, right?
So on one hand, I'm all for deploying it into DeFi, right? Because you're just going to balloon TVL, and then it's good for liquidity. It's obvious why it's good. The downside, though, if you, I mean, it's almost a situation where the borrowing against the equity on chain, it's either going to be too small to make a difference, but if it's enough to make a difference, then it's probably enough to blow up. Right? Like if you're going to borrow against like 5% of your float, cool. That's just like, it's sure, it's more novelty than actual value accretion to the entire pie of the equity ownership. But if you're borrowing against a material amount, then these DATs are, especially when they're at MNAVs above 1.5 or whatever, still they pull back twice as hard. And then
yeah, I wonder though if they're going to use like Maple type credit facilities too, like the unsecured stuff. But then they're still getting like stable coins on chain.
Yeah, I'm kind of gutted we missed it. I was on holiday, so I missed the whole DAT, but I definitely think it was a good. I just think in general, especially one with Samani, I really think he was born for this, like to be the sailor of Solana. Like there is no.
For sure, I think the DATs are great, but like I don't really want to own it personally because I can kind of do all the stuff they're doing myself, and I still don't think that these things will trade.
I don't get it. Like you're literally, if you can get in close to MNAV and you're just rotating some of your SOL that you're holding long term into this thing, I feel like if you have like a 2-year time frame on it, you're always going to be able to get out close to MNAV.
I mean, these things have fees though, right?
And yeah, but like I just think the odds, like for most of them, you've been able you've done multiples on your investment.
True. You're talking though about doing like the pipe, which is like fair.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm talking about doing the pipe.
I'm just like, who the fuck keeps buying these on public markets when they're at like 2x MNAV, you know?
Yeah. I just think the marginal, like there's a chat I'm in where there's someone that always posts that, like who is the whatever alt thesis people post, he's like, who is the marginal buyer? And I don't think it's just like the most mid curve like bear hold comment you can make. I totally get that flows matter and stuff, but like reality is like we don't know who the marginal buyers are for like all this stuff. But
buying any of these DATs on the public market, you would have got crushed against the native. So it's not mid curve to like not buy them.
Buy it anywhere. I wouldn't buy it anywhere. Like, but if you can get in the pipe at 1x NAV or close to it, I just feel like
but no one's talking about that. Like that's the obvious part of the trade.
Well, we were talking about it.
No, I think that the concern is what's happening in afterwards once it's trading.
Yeah, but we discussed actually this one specifically, right? Or like these kinds of ones. Like I think you were less interested in the DATs generally.
At a high, it was the ones that had high MNAVs. Yeah, I like sub 1 investing.
Mm-hmm. It was 115, right? I don't think it's.
Even still, I like that. Doesn't really interest me. 115 to do.
Just do a 2x long SOL.
Yeah, it's because you know it's going to come. I don't know.
And you get liquidity when you want it.
If I just think you're going to get fair. I mean, I prefer the spot I prefer the DAT trade, honestly, if you can get in anywhere close to MNAV. And like when you do I ordered this book actually on the Kelly criterion to actually dig into it on position sizing and stuff. I don't know how many of you guys
I read that book. I bought that book too because I saw you tweet about it or something, and then I opened it up and it's just like it's fucking calculus.
Yeah.
The entire book is just formulas. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna read that. Like
I'm ChatGPTing it.
Back to school. Well, all right. So I mean, if Samani, the Sultan of Solana or whatever, is going to
sorry, just one thing before you jump into Sultan Solana. On the like when you run the like Kelly or like EV maths on stuff where your downside is extremely limited, you don't need that much upside for it to be like an insanely good trade. And I don't think it's necessarily intuitive all the time, but like I do find running the Kelly makes it a lot more obvious. But
yeah, but no one's talking about the whether or not to do that. It's more about, is there a better way to express the same bet?
Yeah, but I don't see 2x long SOL being the same bet though. Yeah. But anyway, we don't.
What do
we
you
I
don't-
mean,
what do you think
when it was
the main
announced, it was sold was what, like 200.
200. Yeah,
You could have just made
40%,
you could have longed on the announcement and then
or I guess 80%, right? If you're doing 2x.
Yeah, I mean the thing is up to 2x though versus like
But it's not liquid.
It's
yeah, but
trading.
it's not
It's
liquid.
trading
not
at 2x
liquid.
MNAV.
It's not liquid.
Yeah, by the time everyone
Yeah,
unlocks,
dude.
it'll.
Congrats on your paper gains.
It was
Yeah,
like
when's
Tom
it-
Lee. That was like Tom Lee retweeting people talking about his 30x on the WorldCoin DAT. It's like, dude, this thing is not. You're not going to be able to sell this at 30x.
I don't know. I think you'll be able to do more than 2x over time with on the stat. But yeah, I get the sentiment. Anyway, Jason, you were talking about the Sultan of Solana.
Yeah, right. So like if Kyle decides to, start putting this stuff on chain, right? Like what like isn't the obvious play just to like long a basket of multi-coin investments like Drift or Camino or things like that? Like they're very clearly have been running like a lot. Like I'm pretty sure like Camino's up 100% or something over the last week or so, or Drift, maybe Camino as well. Like when I look at this, it's like it's super interesting. Obviously, like what the playbook is for forward industries, but like if they are going ahead and deploying on chain, like what is the actual like? Is it 2x SOL? Is it maybe looking into like where this stuff will get deployed and where TVL might balloon, like on Camino, right? It's not up. Drift was up 100%. This is up like almost 100% in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So very clearly, like people are expressing the trade via like a basket of multi-coins investments, which I think make a lot of sense, right? Like if I'm Kyle, like I'm clearly going to take the SOL we buy, and if I'm going to put it on chain, I'm going to put it in things that I've invested in prior, not just for my bags, but because theoretically you'd expect him to have confidence in these protocols, which is why he invested in the first place, right? So like clearly that seems to be a decent way to express like a trade around this kind of idea. I'm curious if you guys thought about doing that. Have you done that? Like, are you interested?
I bought Jito recently, but that's not necessarily the DAT. That's mostly that like they have like the fee switch and the ETFs coming. Yeah, I mean, I saw that they use DFlow, which is one of their portcos. I don't think that he's gonna start like aping those tokens, right? But I mean, Multicoin is invested in like most of the big Solana protocols, right? So yeah, I don't know. We'll see with the Camino thing. Obviously, a lot of people thought about that trade. It's not like Kyle's the money that he hasn't put any money into Camino yet, I don't think. And so it's not like fundamentally that's actually made Camino go up. It's everybody thinking about these.
No,
kind of
yeah,
trades,
it's the anticipation of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I wasn't really by my computer at the time, so I couldn't really look into it deeply. But I think the math would just basically be, which I think the price would there'd be multiple expansion on all of these, right? Because it's not like the fundamentals would improve 2x based on the amount of TVL, and so the idea would basically be, which one would probably fundamentally improve the most, or which one would be helped the most, and then crossing that relative to unlocks and stuff like that, and are there going to be painful flows? Are there going to be a lot of profits taken into a pump, right? And so you basically see which protocols would benefit the most incrementally, balance that against unlocks, and then do like a weighted basket. But for me, I just like didn't have the chance to, so I basically just kind of long SOL and folded it.
This is where I just go 2x long SOL actually.
Yeah, like the Solana DeFi
did,
tokens too have such shit liquidity.
Yeah, it's just like you could do long SOL in size and then just not think about it.
I mean, long SOL is the trade I put on. So I mean, I was just curious if you guys.
Same.
I don't know. Maybe somebody's going to start streaming on Pump. Want to get the Florida Industries.
Nice segue. Let's talk Pump. I think we're all bullish and holding Pump, either participated in the ICO or long on perp. So disclosures there, but it's been pretty impressive. Like both the obviously price performance off the bottom, but also just the the streaming and like their execution, it feels like there's, I mean, and also Gigi, Jan, and Anil on your podcast with Noah, I think I was already long, but that really made me double down because I just think he's much more compelling than Alon, honestly, in terms of the vision and stuff like that. And it actually made me feel like they could really win. Like not only is it cheap on like a fundamentals basis, but actually like the TAM is huge if they execute on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the I think streamers, like some of the numbers on how much the streamers have made over the last like week and 24 hours are pretty absurd. Um, that said, going on the app, it's still really hard for me to find shit that I'm actually interested in. Like I've spent, I don't know, maybe an hour overall trying to find like a good stream. And it's just like some dude sleeping.
I mean, this
One
is
guy,
how it like drips into the Black Mirror episode, right? Just like,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you're definitely going to have some. You're going to have some bad publicity again, of course. Every streaming, every site that does streaming, like man, people do some pretty bad stuff that on like Facebook Live and everything, right? The fact that this is financialized now, like you're definitely gonna see it go viral on like mainstream media. Like someone, I don't know, someone's like giving birth, but
Yeah, I saw that too.
wow.
Not the actual birth. I saw the tweet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, because you can moderate a bunch of that stuff out, but the issue is what they do live afterwards. You have no control over.
I think the tough thing is you have somebody who's been good for like half a year, and then they do something, and the whole time you thought that like you had kind of vetted these. It's like, Rasmer, for instance, that guy's been on there forever. It's like if one day they're never gonna moderate Rasmer at this point because he's been there forever. One day he just did something like really stupid. So I don't know, but I think that it the economics, as long as it keeps up, like as long as people are willing to kind of like spend money in this streamer content creator game, are just like way too enticing to not get in a bunch of people trying to make some money trying to stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because the bear case is the tokens aren't doing well, right? And so you're kind of just churning through the audience, right? But that's an issue even if you zoom out for perp dexes, right? Most traders lose, and eventually people like run out of money to trade. But the idea is you build enough of a product where there's just like the user base is massive, and yes, people churn out, but enough new people come in. And I think this thing hasn't been going nearly long enough for that churning to be enough to actually destroy demand. I think, realistically, people will show up for cool streaming. And so you kind of want to appeal first to the streaming side and get the best content over. And then afterwards, you need to obviously address the other end, which I think there are some like solutions where you can redirect some fees into the token or to the holders of the token and enable features for holders and kind of a bunch of other things. But I think, like the most incremental improvement you can make is just onboarding creating a process where streamers can make materially more, like an order or two magnitude more than they would anywhere else.
That's the other thing. And I think there's just like what I see, like I think maybe Jason, you coined this with Solana or someone did on our team, like the narrative shots on goal. It just feels like Pump has a lot of like narrative shots on goal where there's a lot of ways this thing could go viral. A lot of like a streamer making a lot of money, like the Bagwork guys did, a big streamer joining up and doing really well. Streamers putting ad revenue or whatever back into the token or like gifts into the token, this kind of thing. And it just feels like there's a lot of ways it can go well. The concern is, the tokens aren't doing well. You definitely need one to do really well to tell that story. But also, I feel like the having to have a token to stream is a bit limiting. Like, I don't know. Obviously, like we would maybe stream the Hivemind on there or whatever, but I don't think we would ever have a token for it. And so, like, it feels like the mechanism of trading fees is really interesting because it feels like a very good proxy for attention, and you can see it in the numbers right now, right? Like these guys are making way more money than they would on those eyeballs being monetized via ads. But it doesn't really work if you don't have your own token. Like, and if you start doing tokens, I don't know, like we want to do a stream and we do it for Sol or Ina or whatever hype, like a portfolio company. But how do you, obviously those aren't pump coins, but if they were a pump coin, how do you like attribute the volume from our stream to the token. There's probably some way to do it, either in the on the front end or have some like affiliate code or something like that. I feel like if you could crack that, it could get pretty interesting, where you can like do a stream that for where you're kind of sponsored by a certain token, and the volume that you send to it you get like a share of or something like that, but you don't have to have your own token. But I feel like you need something like that, because not everyone's going to want to have their own token, because these things go to zero and they create a lot of liability for the person.
Plus, people just don't want something tied to them, because then it's just like, you get people yelling. And I agree that there shouldn't be barriers to adoption on either end, right? And so this is a barrier to new streamers joining, because ultimately, if you have good streamers that join without a token just to do it, right, like people in crypto would, then you're just bringing more eyeballs to the platform, which will be indirectly monetized on the streamers that do have tokens. I think, like, sending advertising revenue probably won't move the needle on fees for a lot of this stuff.
Sponsorship revenue could potentially.
You're just never going to make as much as the meme coin with the trading. It's just hard to like it's very high fee model.
But the meme coin does better if there's a narrative that you're sending all sponsorship revenue and stuff to it, right? Like even just on Pumpamentals, it kind of like it's a better story.
Yeah. But then it's like, if you're a creator, it's like, if we're not doing this. People have asked us to do this. I won't talk about, but let's say we did Hivemind on there, right? It's like, I would not want to do anything that actually like made that token go up. So like, I would not want to like put our fees into it or sponsorship or something, because it's like, then it becomes too much like pressure. And then it's something like, eventually one day, again, this is the problem with all these things, is like, eventually one day you don't want to deal with the token anymore. I think that these tokens would work for the very small niche people who are these like online celebrities for their whole life. So like, if Mr. Beast, if this is like how he started his career, was on like a pump stream today, I think that token would still probably be worth a lot. Even if he was like not necessarily on pump streams anymore.
In a world where he guaranteed like 5% of all future revenue, like you do some kind of like tiered thing where in the first couple of years I'll give up 20%, and then over time I'll give up a smaller percentage that just goes into the token. Because I mean, if we did it though, like it'd have to be people who aren't like financially necessarily incentivized, right? Like we don't do this for the sponsorship revenue. So it would be a world where like we take no team tokens, all sponsorship revenue goes back into it, all creator fees just go back into it, and then we're kind of absolved of any guilt if it goes up or down, because we're actually losing money doing this to begin with. So it's just like a fun experiment to bring attention to
the thing is like, I don't even know how that would work. From like, what do you have to pay tax on the creator fees and then you just spend it right away? You know what I mean? There's like these things that are kind of hard to figure out.
And also you'd still get someone like bundling it and owning it,
and you'd still get people pissed at you anyways, even if you made no money off of it. It's like,
because there's no way everyone would know that you're not making money off this, right?
Right.
Because people aren't doing their DD. They're just gonna
people would see the chart get like full stacked one day and they think that you were the one. I don't know.
That's the annoying thing. It feels like there's something
there.
There's like a way, there's something there and a way to crack it. And obviously people have gotten like some like sort of fads have worked with this, whether it's BitCloud or Friendtech, that lasted from weeks to months. Pump is definitely the most sustainable, in the sense of at least like revenue and fundamentals and people coming back to this. But I still, it definitely needs some iteration. But I feel like if they get there, it's just so big. It's like, it's such a massive TAM. Like, I don't think it's even Twitch or Kick. It's sort of like TikTok, it's like everyone, it's like just being able to ape creators, and they're actually making really good content and attracting the best content creators there.
I do think that like, so we can critique all this and everything. They are doing something unique in the history of crypto. Every time we onboard something, what is it? We onboard people to become traders, right? That's like literally every single time we onboard people. They're becoming traders. This still relies on people trading, sure, but like new people coming in don't actually have to trade or anything. They just need to like stream. And so these kind of experiments, when you're doing this, where the person coming in doesn't have to actually like buy tokens and like trade tokens, I think is good. And I think, Pump is always traded. People like to compare Pump versus Hyperliquid because they both make money. They're like very different products. But Hyperliquid trades at like a way bigger multiple than Pump, right? Because people don't believe in kind of pumps. They think like it's just a launch pad. It's kind of this vanilla, easily replicated thing. But I think that there is this scenario that if Pump does hit like these competing after like Twitch and like TikTok and all this stuff, then you can make the case that it actually should trade at a higher multiple than something like Hyperliquid. Because now you're gone from like Hyperliquid is this perp exchange, crypto native thing. Whereas Pump now really, if it breaks into the mainstream, can be like this massive conglomerate and it could just do like fucking everything. So I think that's kind of the bull case for the Pump has.
Pump, like the multiple is basically two things, right? It's growth rate, which I think Pump will get a more favorable multiple, and then it's predictability and kind of defensibility of cash flows, which I think Pump has less of an argument for, and that hurts their multiple. And then if you look at what it's trading at, right? I mean, if you do like 7-day annualized, that's 950 mil in buyback, and then if you do 30-day annualized, it's 720 in buyback, and what's Pump right now? It's like 8 bill FDV, right? So it's even on FDV terms, it's still trading pretty reasonable. Obviously on market cap, just pure market cap, is trading insanely favorably, right? It's like 3 to 4x. Well, yeah, 3 to 4x multiple on the market cap. They're not like, you have the airdrop, which they haven't really mentioned, but that'll be the next source of liquidity. But after that, there's no liquidity coming for, basically like 9 months. So for a while, it's going to kind of trade on that. And then the cash they've raised, right, which enables them to do this buyback. And sure, they've upsized the team, but like that's just a gargantuan amount of money, and it's like a huge war chest. And so it's up a lot, but it's still, pretty reasonably priced. Some might say still cheap, but I don't know if I would say cheap just because it's up so much, right? Like I think you do need to disconnect the two, right? And say that price should be, valuation is separate from price trend over the past couple of days, but it's always, risky to chase something that's up quite a bit. That being said, I haven't sold a single token.
Yeah, I've sold like a small portion, but my position's still bigger than when I did the ICO. But I do think, we're in the zone now where it makes sense for it to kind of like maybe cool off a little, or it went up a lot. Like it was literally the only coin in the market outside of Sol.
It's just like churn through, right? It's like consolidation. It's reasonable. People need to take profits. New people come in, form the base, then next like higher.
Yeah, and streaming has like, I think the Bagwork token was kind of the flagship of the streaming success, and that thing. I bought some.
Didn't something happen though?
Well, they did an NFT collection. It's like people need to know you can't do an NFT collection. Like it's just over at that point. But
yeah, that's peak grift right there.
Unless you're Donald Trump, and then you can do 4.
Yeah. And then launch a token and have it trade at 10 bill.
And then launch another token.
Well, I think I guess he wasn't Melania, but
that was so funny. People were like long the first NFTs. They're like, this is a way to play the Trump presidency. Like we're gonna, like these things are gonna pump once he becomes president. And then he did like 3 more.
Well, yeah, you know what's crazy is that those original Trump cards were very contrarian, right? But you would have been so right about longing Trump, but those cards, you never would have made money on those, right? That's the thing that is just.
Well, you got diluted by like 75%. That's the thing.
I think he launched 2 more collections. I mean, the best Trump trade was the unofficial Trump token.
Yeah,
because that one you could get in pretty early on and in decent size, and it ran up.
Well, the official one, didn't that go from like a couple of bill to like 20 or 40 or something in like a day?
It went to like 80 or 70. But that one's just like so much harder to size into once it's at 20. Like you're not saying I'm gonna get a 3-4x out of this at 20 bill.
Yeah. Actually, World Liberty Fi was a really good trade.
Yeah.
You already made back your
Yeah.
money on the unlock.
I faded that.
So did I. Because it was like the tokens are never going to be unlocked. And then they just decided after.
And then you had the Justin Sun thing. Although I don't think that just like that's not the way you'd pull off that trade, right? Like you don't need to have everyone give you you can just short it on perps and do it much more.
By the way, talking about Justin Sun, and this is a good segue, is it seems like CZ yesterday is doing this Aster thing, which is this Hyperliquid competitor. This morning I saw a Justin Sun thing.
What did you see about Justin Sun?
He's doing again another. Let me see who tweeted it. I think this Minion, I think, was the account.
Yeah, I didn't see this.
Let me
Justin
see.
Sun
What
thing.
is this? Sun Perp Dex. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
He said, and he had a tweet yesterday, Sun is late, but finally the big one is coming. See you on Twitter tomorrow at 8 p.m. And there's this, Sun Perp Dex.
So he's doing what CZ did.
It kind of looks like it.
What do you guys think about these
on Tron?
Hyperliquid competitor?
I just sent it in the
things?
Telegram chat. It's on Tron, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, he has basically infinite
money,
like actually infinite money.
Yeah,
and so he'll just pump this and like he can pump 9 figures into this, and that's just like bips of his network.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
I don't think it's bips. Surely.
I mean, low 9 figs it could be bips. Yes, it would be under 1%.
You think so?
Must
yes.
be nice.
Where is he on the richest people in the world? Like top 20, top 10?
Yeah, I have it on pretty decent authority.
Well,
Are you guys buying this thing then? Aster?
I don't know.
I faded it yesterday because I wasn't really. I didn't buy. I saw it at like 10 cents or 15 cents or something, and it's like 65 or some nonsense now. I'm just like,
but CZ took X Binance
off his profile.
Off his profile, yeah. So it seems like he's back. And there's that DOJ rumor that they're going to come to an agreement. So it seems like he's going to be back, which is
it's never gone. Let's be real.
Well, he was in jail, but he's going to be like, he's probably it sounds like he's going to be fully back, which is quite interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, but what's the thesis for this thing? It's just like, yeah.
What's the thesis for any BNB token? Look
good?
at Cake. Look at Cake, man. When that thing came out, I was like, this is such a scam. And Cake,
but it's on Tron. This one, it's not a BNB. It's not a BNB token. It's a Tron token.
Cake is BNB. Oh, you're talking about Aster is BNBs.
Yeah.
And Sun Perp is this Justin Sun thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Aster is the CZ thing.
I mean, I think the move is basically just like shift your majors trading there. That's the easiest thing you can do.
This thing's at 72 cents now. Yeah, it's like 400. It's at 5.8 billion fully diluted now.
5.8 billion, you said?
For the CZ Hyperliquid.
Does it work well? Have anybody of you guys used it?
No, I have not used it. I was planning on playing around with it like today or tomorrow.
I think Marcus used it from the markets team. I think he said he did like 100x.
He did.
And then
so yeah, they have like the same like roll bit thing where you could do like 1000x, and it's like that line chart or whatever. You know, the same exact thing that Rollbit used to have, or I guess probably still has. They have that, and that works.
But apparently, that's peer to peer though. That's not peer to house.
I believe so. I'm not
like swapping the order into the order book, basically.
Yeah, and I think so. And like they cap upside. I'm pretty sure they like force you to exit at like 200% gain or whatever. Like they don't let you hold it open indefinitely either.
That's pretty shit. I don't know why you do that. I mean, it seems much less necessary on a peer to peer DEX instead of like a peer
don't quote me on that. I haven't fully looked into this yet. This was a today thing.
Yeah, I saw that message too. That's kind of not great. Even if it even if it actually only affects a very small percentage of people, it definitely influences behavior. And just like, I don't really want to do that there if I'm trading a certain way. Like just in the off chance that you do hit a position that triggers that.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think you're right. I think like, I mean, I'm probably not going to go and just like buy the token. I mean, I don't know enough. I need to like do more research, but I think like maybe like farming it with like, just, like you said, Jan, with some of your majors trading makes sense.
With your entire fund to offset all the losses.
Because I think they have like a 9% airdrop, or like they distributed like 9% for an airdrop. I don't know if there's like more coming down the line, kind of like what Sint did with Hyperliquid or some of the other ones. But yeah, like,
what do you think about the Hyperliquid unlock? What's your take on that? It comes in what? Is it like November?
End of November.
Yeah. What's my take on it? I mean, I think
to be mostly out by then.
The team.
Yeah, you think it'll be bad? Yeah, because if you get a lot of mixed takes.
No, I don't think it'll be that bad, honestly. I think the team has like an incentive to not make it bad. Like that's kind of like the whole like image, or like I guess a lot of the lore, I guess you could say, around Hyperliquid and the team.
Is that they only buy?
They only buy. Jeff only.
Ideal case is you get a good dip buying opportunity, right? Just they sell plus panic, and then you get it you get that some cheap multiple.
Yeah, I feel like there's a number that is a good sell that's actually bullish. Maybe like
to like lock in a couple years of runway or
something.
Yeah,
it's like, they sold 20% of their tokens, and
it's a lot of tokens.
It's a fuckload at this point.
Well,
they could stake it, right? Like they could stake it and then just sell staking rewards and stuff. Like there's other things they could do with it that would signal
just like so little
to the market. And
I mean, they could borrow against it and buy more.
That's also viable.
No,
yeah,
not going to do that.
I'm probably. I mean, I don't know what price will be in November, but like, I mean, if we get to November and it's like long-term capital gains on the airdropped portion of my position, like I'm obviously gonna lock in some profits on that. But like I'm not like super worried about it, generally speaking.
What do you think the upside is on Hype from here? I'm curious.
I was always at like $100 to $150 a token is like where I think this will probably end up once the EVM and everything gets built out, once the ecosystem has some stuff going on. And once they've had like a year to like actually make an effort at, chunking away at Binance and Bybit's, incumbency. That's like that's always been like my target, like 100 to 150, I think makes sense. Obviously it's a very high val, but again, I mean, it's an exchange token of the fastest growing exchange in crypto. Like, it seems like these tokens historically just command very high multiples within crypto. BNB is like a very clear comp.
BNB hit 1K today.
It did. It's a great token.
That chart is ridiculous.
It's just so like
good. No dips.
It's so
the ICO good. Was what, 10 cents?
Was it
10,000x? That's pretty nice.
So yeah, like I don't know, like I don't see a reason to sell my stake, or at least not yet, in what I think is like probably, I don't know, the best top 3 crypto protocols to come out of the industry in the last 5 years or whatever. Like, I don't mind holding it. I've held meme coins longer, so like I don't mind.
The L1 premium is probably going to start being like less of a thing, right? Just because it's they haven't really been delivering much on that front, and so it was highest when anticipation was highest relative to what they delivered. But as it becomes more obvious, not obvious, but just like clearer that it's really hard to deliver a performing L1.
I also think with Monad and Mega ETH coming as like performing EVMs, if you're like a real EVM builder, you still, I don't know, I still feel like I'm biased. I did Monad Angel, but even like just thinking about something like Mega ETH, right? Or Base just as, I don't know. The Hyperliquid EVM is tough because it has this weird, like the throughput is still, there's just a lot. Building an L1's hard, basically, is my point. Building, and this is the thing with like, the other day I saw people talking about like making pump and app chain again. It's like, guys, like just fucking stop talking about this. Like, yeah, let's take a project that's making millions of dollars a day and just totally move it to like a new infrastructure. It's like, do I think Pump will do their own chain in the future at some point? Like, probably. I think that Pump should always be exploring like what is the best infrastructure for us. But I think that people don't appreciate like when Pump is on Solana, they have the entire Solana team and like all those engineers continuously improving the infrastructure, and like it keeps just getting better and better. If Alpenglow ends up crushing it, um and like Solana just keeps getting better and better and just keeps scaling and scaling, it's like there's not really incentive for Pump. Like people talk about, oh, but like look at all the transaction fees that were paid for people using like Pump contracts and stuff. And it's like, okay, but you're kind of, you're just assuming that like everybody and all the liquidity and all the users are just going to move to Pump chain, and they're not going to lose any of their millions of dollars of revenue a day, um, which is like a pretty crazy assumption to make, in my opinion. And then, anyways, with like Jito launching BAM, which is their application specific sequencing market, it's like Pump is going to be able to start making a lot of these like MEV and priority fees and everything for people interacting with Pump, right? So, which is like another bull angle to Pump that I don't think people really incorporate into their revenue aspect right now.
I don't think it should do any of that, but like it is a worthwhile thought experiment just because what would it trade at if they had their own L1, or what would it trade at if they had perps? And that's like, I think also some of the upside that can be baked in, but I don't think they should do any of that shit until they've nailed the product. And I think they're pretty focused on that. Even on the podcast, you mentioned like the stable coin, which I think would be like a huge mistake. I don't know why everyone wants to do a stable coin. I don't see why a pump stable coin makes any sense really. I think all that stuff should be secondary to them just nailing the product experience.
I mean, an easy thing they could do, and I don't even think they should do this, but they could, is like they could start pairing Pump on launches instead of Sol.
Yeah, I think part of it is just a lot of these projects in crypto, when they don't get PMF for whatever they're building, they look at where there is PMF in crypto and it's like, okay, let's integrate that, right? Whether it's a stable coin or whether it's a the PMF of an L1 via the L1 premium, that's, they kind of gravitate towards that, but they actually have something here, right? And so it just makes sense to actually focus on the product and then
I mean, the ironic thing about that is that you have the exact example of somebody who went after Pump doing that, like the Bonk and everything, right? Who they're like this meme coin, but a big community. They do all these different things. And they went after all the launchpad stuff. And it's like, well, Pump just does that better, right? Because they're just kind of like laser focused on that product. So, yeah. Yeah.
I think that's it. I mean, I think, is there anything else you guys wanted to?
Well, what do you think about the base token?
Yeah, I was going to mention that after you brought it up.
That's a good shot. I mean, yeah, probably going to be pretty big. Probably going to do pretty well. I wonder how if they're going to airdrop it or do an ICO.
Well, the big issue is what happens with equity holders, right? And
yeah.
Is that value getting leaked away from?
I don't know. Like you put billions of like first question: where does base token trade if it was launched today? 10 bill, 20 bill, 30 bill, 40, 50, like
it's probably between 10 and 20.
That's what I think.
It could do like more though. I think it would never be less than 10. I would be shocked if it was less than 10, but I think it could be like 40.
It depends. If it's just like a meme coin, then it's going to be hard for.
I mean, what's for a LibertyFi?
Yeah, but that's not that's like a low FTV or low circ, high FTV thing.
So I think base would probably be too, though. No.
So that's the other thing. Is like depends on how they do the distro. I'm assuming there would be some pretty sizable airdrop based on wallets and on-chain activity.
One thing I do think is that like Base already does basically all the EVM chain activity. This is just going to make it even worse for competitors, especially competitors that already have a token, because now it's like, well, now I can get this Base airdrop if I move my EVM activity or whatever. Even Solana users too, theoretically, although I don't know how much carryover there is. But like thinking about like the Optimism, Arbitrum, all the other smaller ones, it's kind of like you have this, the thing is, sure, a lot of people are farming it, and so you're going to be diluted that way, but it's going to have a pretty massive valuation. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on there was already a lot of pressure on all the other roll-ups and Altel ones, but this is just going to even make it even harder.
Could you argue that if this thing reprices way higher than the others they're pretty beaten down at this point. They actually get a bid because the spread between them is so wide.
I don't know, man. I just cannot like buy an L2 token.
Tight stops.
I agree. Is there anything else? I feel like there's, as a show for labs, Legion has just announced the partnership with Kraken today. So basically Kraken's 15 million users get access to early stage fundraising deals on Legion, and Legion projects get access to Kraken's 50 million users plus tier 1 centralized exchange liquidity from day one.
Are there any restrictions for like users in the US on Kraken that want to do this, or how does that?
Not sure if you can participate in I think you probably can, but I'm not sure actually.
Well, one thing as an anecdote, as a Canadian, I was allowed to do the pump ICO, but I wasn't allowed to do the pump ICO on Kraken.
Interesting.
So Kraken has their own separate risk that they'll take with offering ICOs, even versus the platform that they're like using. This is different, I guess, because it's a platform. This was Pump, and so Pump probably just doesn't give a shit about Canadian regulators because they're like small potatoes, right? But Kraken has a big business in Canada. They're like one of the biggest exchanges, so they probably don't want to take that risk, and so that's kind of where that fell on the spectrum there.
We're sorry,
but yeah.
Pump ICO is a good model for how like Legion wants to think about it. Is that you should be able to access this on Legion, but also everywhere that has distribution. So on all the centralized exchanges, or at least some of the big centralized exchanges, starting with Kraken. And then just making the API work a lot better and a lot more smoothly, so you don't have what happened with Pump, where everyone got fucked on the exchanges.
On chain did great for Pump. Like everybody,
on chain was easy. I literally just sent it in and it was done.
The KYC was just like the easiest KYC ever too. One more thing before we go is, did you see this Base Solana bridge?
Oh yeah. How are you thinking about that?
I just think it's, as we've noticed over the past year or so, there's literally 3 chains people use, right? And I don't like Ethereum is different. It like a lot like whales and stuff use Ethereum, but I mean like an average like retail end user for the most part is using like Solana. They're using Base, and then they're using Hyperliquid to trade, right? And so this kind of makes sense that Base and Solana now, they're going to make it easy to go between these 2 chains because they're just kind of like what everybody's using. Apparently Solana tokens now, when they're on Base, will all show up in like, you can buy them from your Coinbase account on chain on Base. I saw the Zora team yesterday is adding support for Solana now. So Zora, this like EVM project, Ethereum community forever, they're on Base, and now the second thing they have is like Solana. It's not like Arbitrum, it's not it's Solana. And so at the end of the day, it's like chains and bridges, right? That's what these things are. And Base and Solana are like been pretty big competitors in this respect, and that they do, they're the 2 leading chains for these kind of like social consumer apps and stuff, right? They're really the only chains doing it right now. So I think it's pretty good I think it's good for both of them, and it's bad for other people. People try to I think people make the argument like, oh, this is this is good for Base and Ethereum because it'll get like Solana liquidity. Solana people might say the other way. I just think it's good for both of them. It just entrenches them more as being like two chains that are going to grow in size together.
Was it really that hard to get from Base to Solana? I feel like
no, you could use like a
exchanges,
cross or
bridge,
something
or
probably,
yeah,
or exchanges. But now
Yeah.
you have the official one. It's not just the bridge; it's the fact that now Solana token, like Solana apps, you can use
Yeah,
from like
will
the
show up.
Coinbase wallet, and I don't know how they're going to do all this because exactly, but that's what they've said. So
Who do
they're
you think is the
making
bigger
it
Here's how
winner?
they execute that.
the bigger winner. I think is Solana because
Yeah, because you get Coinbase.
yeah,
Yeah.
Base already had that distribution.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. All right, let's should we wrap it there?
Yeah, let's wrap it there. It's been over an hour, so good episode.
Good episode, and see you all again in 2 weeks for another one.
The October.
Thanks,
It'll be
everyone.
Q4. All right. See ya.
See ya.